Instead of hating on Bronny James, you should be thanking him. Especially if you are a young student athlete that wants to make it pro. No matter what sport, you should be thanking LeBron James' son, Bronny James. In case you didn't know, he just made it to the NBA. Drafted number 55 for the Los Angeles Lakers, and there's a lot of hate that comes towards being the son of an NBA great. There's people that are saying, you know, he shouldn't have made it because the only way he made it is because of his dad. Then there's people saying that there's people on his team that scored more points than him, that got more rebounds than him, that were just better players than him at USC that didn't make it. That's not fair. There are people that are saying, listen, all this time we thought this joker was 6'4", 6'5". He actually measured at 6'1" at the NBA Combine. He should not be there, Bill. Why should I be thankful that he made it? You should be thankful that he made it for the same thing I've been saying for so many years thus far, and that is if you're a student athlete that wants to make it pro, I've been there. Listen, I've been there. I've been the person that was walking to school in jump soles and with my weight vest on in practice. I've been the person running heels during the summertime. I've been the person putting in that extra work. I wanted to make it to the NBA bad. It was the one thing I felt like I could make my parents proud, since I wasn't the person that was going to make them proud as it relates to academics. I failed the 6th grade and the 8th grade special education classes. I wasn't picked to make it, but I ended up getting a lot further than I thought I was going to get because I graduated with a master's, and a lot of that came from the game of basketball. A lot of it came from the game of basketball, but don't get it twisted. I only went to college because they had a basketball on campus. If they didn't have a basketball on campus, I wouldn't have made it. I wouldn't have went. There's no chance. There's no chance. So when I say I am that person that ate, bled, drank, slept basketball, I'm that guy. Ask any of my teammates from former years, they'll let you know. Bell had one of the best, if not the best, work ethics I've ever seen as far as having a teammate. No one outworked me, especially at my position. So I'm there with you if you're saying that, you know, I want to make it to the league, I want to make it pro. I get it. I get it. And maybe you're not a student athlete. Maybe you want to help a student athlete kind of understand more things about making it to the NBA without crushing their dreams. Well, just in case, I wrote a book. I wrote a book just about how you can engage with student athletes that's on this journey. I don't think you should try to talk them away from being it. I think this is something that you should be happy that at least they have a North Star. At least they're passionate about something. I wrote a book called Don't Say Plan B or Backup Plan to an Aspiring Pro Athlete, giving you the tools on how to engage with student athletes that want to make it pro and how to best equip them throughout the process. I go on to say if you wanted to help them, then you want to harness this energy and use it for your advantage. And there's ways that you can talk to student athletes that's going to help them versus upset them, versus them looking at you like a hater. I always use the point of saying, you know, if someone was getting married, the last thing you would do is go in there and say, hey, man, I know you like this person, but let's talk about a backup plan. If that's not how you would engage with that person, then that's probably not how you should engage with your son or daughter that wants to make it pro. Because that person at that wedding, if you were to say that to them, they would look at you like a hater. They would probably escort you out of there. They would look at you like you're not on their side. And that's the same thing these student athletes feel if they want to go pro and you're over here telling them about a backup plan. There's a better way you can do it. There's a better way you can talk about it. There's a better way that you can equip them so they can continue on their journey and be equipped in the future. And this book helps you do that. You can pick this up on Amazon.com. Either way, it's going to help you more than you know. But let's get back at the topic at hand. The topic at hand is Bronny James and why you should be happy. Why you should be happy that he went to the NBA versus hating on him. You should be happy that he's going to the NBA because it exposes what I've been saying on this channel since 2016. If you're a student athlete that wants to make it pro, I want you to hear me and hear me well. Making it pro has a lot to do with other things other than just working hard. I'll say it again. Making it pro has a lot to do with other things other than working hard. Even though those individuals that make it to the NBA only mention working hard. Now, why do they mention only working hard? There's two reasons they mention only working hard. This is why you've been bamboozled, okay? This is why you've been led astray. The reasons why they only say, you know, I was the first one in the gym, last one to leave, that kind of foolishness when they get behind the podium. The reason they're saying that is for the reason that they want to build up their ego. They want to build up their ego. They want you to have reverence for them and what they've achieved. And what better way to do so than to say, I worked hard in order to be as great as me, in order to make as much money as me, in order to live where I live, you got to work hard like me. That makes people feel good. They get to blow up their chest and walk around with a bunch of ego. That makes them feel good. It would be no difference than if an entrepreneur, business owner, if you come up there and say, hey, sir, hey, ma'am, hey, sir, how'd you make your millions? How would you feel if they came back and they said, oh, you just got to work hard? What? You would be like, man, come on, bro. So you're not going to mention some things like you starting off with some money when your dad passed away. You're not going to mention some things that you had this internship and you met this person. You're not going to mention some things that your parents had you reading entrepreneurial books or engineering books when you were younger. And you're not going to mention that you went to this school. You're not going to mention that you know this person. You're not going to mention that you related to this person. You're not going to mention any of that. You're just going to say you worked hard. That would be disingenuous. We know there's other things other than just working hard. The people that work, the custodian for your building works hard. The person that washes cars works hard. Like the person that works at there's a lot of people that work hard. To say that just because you work hard is lazy, is dishonest, is disingenuous, it's not accurate. There's so many things. There's so many things that hard work doesn't encompass, but it makes people feel good. The second reason why professional athletes say, you know what, it's just because I worked harder than you. You know why? Well, what do you think that second thing is? The second thing is they want to grow the game, the sport that they're playing. What do I mean by grow the game? Growing the game is speak about the sport in a way that it gets more applicants that want to apply. If you felt like the only way that's stopping me from making millions, making my family proud, buying my mama a house, moving into a bigger house, if the only thing that's stopping me, the only thing that is disqualifying me from getting that is working hard, doggone it, that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do. So you got thousands, if not millions, of little boys and little girls feeling like, man, I can make it too, because if I work hard like this person, then I can make it. So what grows the game? It gets more applicants that want to apply for that game. You dig what I'm saying? It gets more applicants. Follow me now. But here, those are the two reasons, those are the two reasons of why people harp on this hard work thing. But I talk about this point I'm about to make now in my book that you need to pick up. But I'll say it to you now for free. And that is, there are other variables that come into consideration when making it to that goal. Some variables you can control, right? So that's why people use hard work. Let me hit that right quick. That's why people talk about hard work, because hard work is one of those variables that you can control. You can control if you work hard. Same thing with your attitude. Same thing with you being coachable. These are things that we tell young student athletes to commit to because you can control them. You can hate your doggone coach's guts. It don't make a difference, but you can still control your hard work. You cannot be getting a lick of playing time, but once you get on that floor, you can control your attitude. You can control your hard work. You can control your attitude on the bench. You can do that. Listen. You don't gotta pay no extra money. You ain't gotta know the right person. You can work hard. You are in charge of that. So that's why people gleam onto, working hard from a coach's standpoint, because you can control it. But I submit to you, ladies and gentlemen, that there are other variables that you don't control. There's variables you don't control. Injuries. Sometimes you can, if you take care of your body, you can control injuries, but some injuries you don't control, right? As far as what program you came from, can't control that. If you fit that system, if you fit that offense, you can control that. Your height doesn't fit that particular system. You don't control that. You don't control that. And who you're related to, you don't control that. You don't control that. Bronny is benefiting from, I'm no fool, Bronny is benefiting from his dad being who his dad is. Who cares? Who cares? Some of y'all think that's just an isolated situation. That's not the case. That happens all the time when people are making teams in the NBA, or people making teams in college, or people making teams in high school. It's not an excuse, but it's a reality. Listen, I've seen situations where a kid had got a chance to go play Division I because his dad was a notable coach. Now, did that player get a lot of playing time? Absolutely not. But did they get to go and play D1, and for the rest of their life, they can walk around with the chest poked out and say, I played G1. They can do it. Were they good enough? No, they weren't. Did they still get in the door? Absolutely. They still got in the door. We see this happening. You come from the right AAU program. We see it happening. You got the right trainer. This person knows that person. I'm pointing fingers, but make it seem, maybe I'm offending you. Maybe I'm offending you with my examples, but I'm going to go ahead and put myself on the chopping block and let you know about things that I benefited from. Variables that I benefited from that wasn't fair, okay? Coming out of high school, I was not highly recruited. I wasn't. I had just started really playing basketball my 10th grade, 9th grade year. Probably about 9th grade year, I just started playing basketball. I was lanky. I was uncoordinated. I could jump, could not shoot a lick. But I can jump. I can get rebounds. I can block shots. I can run the floor. I was very enthusiastic. Talked a lot on defense and offense. Made sure everybody was online when we were on the floor. But couldn't shoot a lick. Wanted to play college basketball. So how did I get to play basketball? My high school coach, here's the thing. My high school coach, Coach Porter, knew my soon-to-be college coach. And he knew him because the year before, we had a guy named Chris Anderson that went on to play at the University of Wyoming, right? He went to the same JUCO I went to and did well and made that coach look good. So they built a relationship. When they built a relationship and I come through the ranks, they was like, hey, give him a shot. Come on, man. You know me. I know you. You know I'm good for it. So they gave me a shot only because they had that relationship. If they didn't have that relationship, then what? Would I have got the opportunity? No, I would not have got that opportunity. That was a variable that I benefited from that I parlayed into redshirting my first year and getting every year after paid for by a basketball scholarship, whether at that school or at someone else's school. Was it fair? No, it wasn't fair. There are people, here's the thing. I'm so transparent and just walk in a room with a state of humility that I can give you the real. It's no benefit for me to act like I'm so much better than you. Let me tell you something. There were people in my high school that, dare I say, were better than me. And they didn't go and play a lick of sports at all in college. They didn't play a lick in college. How can that be? The universe is cracking. How can that be, Bell? That's not what they told me. They told me he was the first person in the gym, last one to leave. They told me he was the best of the best in high school going to college. Well, I will say I was the first one to leave, first one to get there, last one to leave as far as in high school. No, I don't know anyone that worked harder than me in high school. I will say that. But yet and still, I wasn't the best basketball player. No, I was not. I was not. I was still 6'4", so that helped. But yeah, that's just not the case, man. I just want to tell you this. Like, if you don't get anything from this video, is there's so many different variables to factor in if you're gonna make it or not. And I'm saying that because I don't want you to be just yet another student athlete that you have a sense of entitlement once the game is over. Because you put all this work in. We've all been through it. You put all this work in and you expect something to come out of it the way you want it. You want it to come out as being accolades, the newcomer of the year, championships, and all this other stuff, because that's what was told to you. You were told that if you blood, sweat, and tears, put it in the game, then it's going to come out. And I'm telling you that that's not always the case. And I don't want you to walk away. I don't want you to walk away from the game ultimately feeling tricked, walk away ultimately feeling confused, walk away ultimately feeling like you were taken advantage of. The fact of the matter is, it gives you a chance to have those accolades and win championships, but it doesn't guarantee you anything. Hard work doesn't guarantee you anything. There's other variables around that play a role as well. And before someone in the comments say some goofy stuff that they heard, as far as a quote is concerned, one of the quotes I always heard, I'm gonna butcher the quote, but y'all know what quote I'm talking about. It's something like, what? It's like, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. You haven't been around very many talented people. You haven't been, if you want to hang to that, I know some people when I was in college that was smoking and drinking with the best of them the night before and sometimes the day before the game. The night before the game and sometimes in that morning because they stayed up all night. We played at 7 p.m. They were smoking and drinking that morning. Didn't stop partying until about 3 o'clock. Went to shoot around, throwing up, and we'll give you 40 in the first half. Am I condoning that? Am I saying you should be doing that? No, I'm not saying that. But this whole notion of when they don't work hard, they'll beat you. These jokers didn't work. They were just super talented. They were super talented. And I just don't want that to be a reflectant on you. There are variables. I'll say this again. I'm just using Bronny James as a rhyme or reason to go over this topic again, because obviously these jokers don't get it. And I keep saying this year after year. People look at me like I'm crazy. Okay, I'll give you another point. When I was in high school, we can look this up. All this stuff is documentable, baby. I went to high school in Utah, okay? When I went to high school in Utah, my senior year, I transferred to a different school. I'm not gonna get into the weeds of this because this video is not about this, but there's a commonality that I want you to take home with you. I transferred to a smaller school, okay? There were 3 schools that wanted me to play for them my senior year. There was Fort Walton Beach High School. That coach's name was Coach Lavin, if I'm not mistaken. You had Northridge High School, C.K. Hansen. That's where I left. And then you had Coach Porter at LCA, okay? So get this. My junior year, I was not playing varsity, okay? I probably get in. I got out there when they came. I got out there the same time they came out there for halftime and when they dust mopped the floor. That's the only time I touched the floor varsity as a junior. So when I transferred, there were some things. People didn't like me because I transferred. I can get into that much later. But there's one thing that happened that I think you should know about. When I was trying to figure out what school I was going to go to, because I was leaving Northridge and I was in Florida with a family member, going and playing at Fort Walton Beach was an option. But here's the thing. This is crazy. I was a top 100 player. I was invited to a top 100 camp in Utah. Now, Bill, how is that possible? How is that possible when you weren't a varsity player when you were a junior in high school? How is that possible? There are some variables that I benefited from that allowed me to do that. And that's what I need y'all to understand. There are some variables that allowed me to be invited to this top 100 player camp at Utah with Andre Miller, who was a point guard in the NBA at the time. He was there. There's a reason. And it had nothing to do with I was just killing it in my junior and sophomore year. I didn't play varsity. There's some variables I benefited from. One of those variables are my high school coach, whom I was going to play for. I'm sure, I've never talked to him about this, but I'm sure it's somebody that he knew because they couldn't go off my stat line. What I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, is that this happens all the time. People don't want to say that because they have their ego to protect. I'm exposed, baby. There's no ego to expose. There's no ego to protect. I would rather you be aware of what's going on versus me trying to exalt myself and tell you how great I am or how I was. I don't care. I didn't care then. I don't care now. You should be thanking Bronny. Bronny has exposed this whole operation. And furthermore, how could you be mad at Bronny? Bronny seems like he's the most respectful young man. He didn't come in there with that energy like y'all owe me something. He's entitled. I haven't seen him speak out of arrogance. Like, come on. If you don't like Bronny and what he represents, there's something wrong with you. Now, you may be upset about you don't think that he made it the right way and all that other stuff. But I'm trying to tell y'all, the right way is fiction. There are tons of people that worked hard that didn't make it. And there's someone that worked half as hard, but had the talent, came from the right program, benefited from being the right fit for that system, and they made it. But when they get behind that podium, what they gonna say? Well, I just worked hard. It drives me insane when I hear these jokers at the podium after championships. It's like I say, how did you make it? How did you make it? And they'll say, because we were the first one in the gym, we the last one to leave. We just worked so hard, and we just made it happen. You don't think everybody else was working hard? What you think? We're sitting around here eating Fritos, Doritos, Twinkies while y'all was at practice? You have to work hard by default to play sports, just by default. That's not something that is only for the champions. That's just something that we only care about when the champions speak. There are tons of players that worked hard that didn't make it, but they fade off into obscurity and never to be asked again. And then when the talking head commentators talk about it, it's always like, oh, they weren't good enough and this and that. Listen, I'm going to say it again. There are so many variables other than working hard that decide if you make it. So I'll wrap this thing up by saying this. I'm saying this because I don't want you to feel entitled. I'm saying this because I don't want you to feel a sense of identity crisis if things don't work out and you don't make it to the NBA or the NFL or the Major League Baseball or whatever team you want to make it, because there's so many other variables that's at stake than that. And this is not a reflection of you. You're not a bad person. You're not a horrible athlete. You're not a scrub. You're not any of those things. Sometimes it's just not the right fit, and you got to be okay with that. Work hard. I'm not telling you not to work hard. I'm not telling you that. Work hard. Because it gives you the potential of things happening. Okay? I'm working hard on this channel. Upload now more than ever. Is it a guarantee that I'm going to get more than 5,000 subscribers? No, because 90% of you jokers watch my videos and you don't subscribe. You don't even put anything in the comments. But I love y'all anyway. Y'all take care.